Adultery may be frowned upon in the modern day, just like it was throughout history, but that certainly didn't stop these queens from cheating on their royal spouses. Marie of Romania. Let's kick things off with a royal you're probably not familiar with. Marie of Romania was the Queen of Romania in the early 20th century, specifically between 1914 and 1927. Despite her title, her husband Ferdinand I was the true ruler. So how did Marie cope with this? By disregarding monogamy. Marie is said to have had at least 5 different side guys. Her main side piece, however, was Barbu Sturbi, a Romanian prince. That's definitely one way to assert your power as a royal. Catherine Howard and Henry VIII. What video about cheating queens would be complete without Henry VIII? Henry VIII was an absolute mad lad, but he wasn't the only one with Black Air Force energy. Enter Catherine Howard, Henry's 5th wife. Henry was a whopping 50 years old when he married the teen Catherine, and it seems Catherine wasn't into older guys. During their marriage, it was revealed that Catherine had previously been with 3 other men, Thomas Culpeper, Henry Manock, and Francis Dereham. So how did the calm and reasonable Henry react? Once he found out, he had all 3 of the men and Catherine executed before moving on to another woman, the Danish Rasputin. Catherine's story may be a shocker, but it is absolutely nothing compared to Caroline Matilda and her doctor. Caroline Matilda was an absolute menace to the medieval Danes. The story begins with her husband, King Christian VII. It was known by all the Danes that Christian was insane, doing things like self-harm and having extreme outbursts of anxiety and anger. Christian's doctor, Johann Struensee, was in a perfect situation to take advantage of this situation. As Johann got closer to the king, he also got closer to the queen. Eventually, Johann and Catherine began an affair and actually convinced the king to give them ultimate power. For a whole 10 months, Johann and Catherine ruled over Denmark until the king ultimately had Catherine executed. So far, we've covered some insane examples of queens cheating on kings. From snatching royal power from their husbands to being with multiple different men, there certainly is no shortage of unloyal queens. There's still far more to cover though, so stay tuned to learn even more bizarre instances of cheating queens. The Snake of the Nile. Making the shift from Europe to Africa, let's go over one of the most famous women throughout history, Cleopatra. Cleopatra became the Queen of Egypt in 51 AD when she was 18. Her husband and the Pharaoh of Egypt, meanwhile, was her brother, Ptolemy. There was one issue though. Ptolemy was 10 and Cleopatra didn't want to catch a case. So what's a girl to do when her husband is underage? Get together with the Romans, of course. Cleopatra famously got together with both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Her affair with Antony would be her last, however, as the queen would end her own life soon after. Catherine the Great. Cleopatra isn't one of the only famous women throughout history. Another incredibly well-known monarch was Catherine the Great, wife to Grand Duke Peter. Although Catherine married into the Russian royal family to bear children, Peter had absolutely no interest in having kids with his wife. So just like Cleopatra, Catherine took matters into her own hands. Instead of Romans though, Catherine kept going for the Russians. Catherine had 2 different affairs. One with Sergei Saltykov, a Russian military officer, and Stanislaw Poniatowski, the secretary of a British ambassador. It looks like Catherine also took notes from Caroline Matilda, because she would actually kill her husband and claim power for herself. Catherine is definitely a girl boss.